I'm Brandon Collins, Corporate Executive Chef for Unilever Food Solutions North America. And today, we're going to make a salsa macha utilizing bone marrow. In Oaxaca, they utilize everything, right? So why not use bone marrow? It's absolutely delicious as our fat agent when making our salsa macha. We're also gonna be using some special chili peppers, like pasilla Oaxaca, which comes from an amazing region in Oaxaca itself, above the clouds, on the side of a mountain. And they smoke all of these amazing pasilla chilies. It's the only way you can get the pasilla Oaxaca, unless you want to get it fresh by going up into the villages, which is also a really, really cool thing. And then with that salsa macha, we're gonna make a Purslane salad with some seasonal vegetables. Again, Purslane is very, very prevalent in Oaxaca, and it's something that I think we should use more of here in the US. So salsa macha is similar to a chili crisp if you've ever had that. It is different chili peppers. There's some shallots, garlic, different seasonings, a bunch of fat, whether it's oil or bone marrow in this case. There's usually peanuts, pepitas, something along that line. But for this recipe, we've kept those out in order just to be able to curtail some of the allergens. So here we have the guajillo chili. You'll notice that it's super smooth with a thinner skin. It's very, very malleable, right? So that's gonna add this sort of level of sweetness and earthiness to it. Every chili serves its purpose. Here's the pasilla. So the pasilla is a little bit more like crinkled. It's not nearly as malleable, but it is definitely still malleable. And this is going to add a level of heat. And if you're using the pasilla Oaxaca, it's going to add a level of smokiness too. So if you're able to get your hands on the pasilla Oaxaca, please do. Here we have some crispy shallots. These are just shallots that have been cooked in oil until they get nice and crispy. You could also buy a crispy shallot as well to utilize. We have the bone marrow as well. We're going to season this with some caldo de pollo from Knorr. We have dark brown sugar. We have oregano or Mexican oregano as well. Mexican oregano has a very distinct flavor profile. So if you can get your hands on it, use that. Some apple cider vinegar, some whole cumin seeds. You could easily use cumin powder if you couldn't get your hands on whole cumin seeds, but they're pretty prevalent. And then about 20 garlic cloves, because everything is better with garlic. First thing that we're gonna do is we are going to open up our tub of caldo de pollo. And we're going to actually use this as our seasoning, right? We're gonna break it up a little bit and we're gonna sprinkle this right over the top of the bone marrow. Now the bone marrow has been soaked in water to get all of those impurities out, to get all of that, all the blood and anything that might be in there. So we soaked it for 2 days. You usually only have to soak it for 1. And then here we're just gonna season this, get all of that absolute flavor. And then we're gonna pop this right in a 350-degree oven for around 12 to 15 minutes, basically until all of that bone marrow sort of melts down and you get all of that beautiful fat. All right, so while the bones are roasting and getting all of that beautiful bone marrow and marrow fat, we're going to toast our chilies. So our chilies have been seeded with the tops removed, and we're gonna throw these in a warm pan, right? So normally in Oaxaca, they would do this on the comal, which is that beautiful clay cooking vessel that is usually outside and it's fired with wood. But what we want to do is we want to wake these chilies up, right? We want to pull those oils out of there and kind of wake them up a little bit. So I have been warming up my pan. I'm going to actually turn it up a little bit and we're going to kind of push them down so that way we can make sure that they're evenly toasting. They're also going to soften them up a little bit as well. So we want to push them down, make sure that everything is sort of toasting. And you'll notice that they will start to shine a little bit and some of those colors will start to change. We don't want to burn them, but we also don't want to not toast them really well. So we're gonna get them nice and warmed up and beautiful. Be careful to put your head in there, it'll be a little ripe. It's gonna be very spicy. Okay, now those colors have almost changed completely. And they're nice and soft. We're gonna pull these out. These are our pasilla chilies. And if we were using pasilla Oaxaca, we would get that nice smokiness. And now we're gonna add our guajillos in there. Exact same treatment, right? Stemmed and seeded. And these are the same thing. We wanna get those evenly toasted. One of the things with guajillo is that they're red, so they'll start to actually change color a little bit. So they're a little bit easier to tell whenever they're done versus the pasilla. But you see how they're starting to get shiny in there? It's letting you know that this is working. And then once these get toasted, we're going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom and we're going to cook off our 20 garlic cloves. Get that beautiful color change. Beautiful. We're going to turn this heat down a little bit. Going to add some oil. Throw our garlic in there. We really just want to soften this garlic up. If it gets a little bit of color on it, that's fine too. But what we're trying to do is make it so that we're not only flavoring this bit of oil that's going to help our bone marrow as well, but it's also going to make this garlic nice and tender. We're going to kill the flame. Just kind of work this through. All right. All right, so we've toasted our chilies off. We've let them cool down a little bit before we throw them in here. But now we're just gonna throw them right in the Robot-Coupe, and we're gonna use the Robot-Coupe to help chop them up. A lot easier than trying to do it by hand. Keep turning it on and off so that way it'll settle. And again, you don't need it to be super even. Some different shapes and sizes is perfectly fine. All right, so our bone marrow is ready to come out. We've gotten this beautiful level of fat. We still have some of the marrow in there as well. So we're gonna set that down. We're gonna let it cool down for a quick second, and we're gonna add everything else into our chilies. So our chilies have been chopped. Wash your hands, please. Never fun to find out that you forgot to do that. And it's usually burns. So we have our beautiful crispy shallots. We have our cumin seeds, or cumin seeds. We have our Mexican oregano, and then our dark brown sugar that we're gonna put in there as well. And while this is hot, right, we wanna make sure that we put this in. And we're also gonna have that hot oil from our garlic, right, that we did earlier. So we're gonna control this. Try not to hurt yourself, right? Dump as much of that fat into there as you can. Give it a quick little stir. All right, we're gonna use this to kind of rehydrate those chilies as well. Break up that brown sugar if you can. We're gonna take that hot garlic oil, right, from the garlic that we were doing earlier. Dump that right in. These beautiful pieces of garlic. All that gorgeous flavored oil as well. Stir this up. We are also going to start taking all of this marrow that's left inside these bones, right? We don't want to lose anything. We want to use all of this flavor, but the bones are hot. So make sure you grab them with a towel or your tongs, scrape that right in. You could very easily do this with canola oil if you wanted, or avocado oil. You don't have to use the bone marrow, but the bone marrow adds such a cool flavor, adds a meatiness to it as well, that is hard to miss. Remember, it's got that Knorr Caldo de Pollo on there as well, so it's gonna have all of that amazing seasoning and flavor. Make sure you get all of that off of the bone as well. And the smell of the guajillo chilies and everything is absolutely amazing as it comes up through. It has that sweetness, that spiciness, those caramelized onions as well, that garlic. Stir this up in there too. Again, try to get as much of this fat as you can, humanly possible, right? Last thing that we're gonna do is we're going to add our apple cider vinegar right in. And it's done. We're just gonna let this set. Letting it set overnight is perfect, but it'll hold for quite a while for you. And then we're gonna use this to dress a beautiful seasonal vegetable salad. All right, so we've got our salsa macha. It sat overnight. We then reheated it, right? Because you wanna make sure that it's not solidified. And now we're gonna make our salad. So we're gonna start with these beautiful squash blossoms that we got from the garden. We're gonna remove the bottom. We're gonna remove the little stamen in the middle. We're just gonna tear them into pieces, right? Again, squash blossoms are pretty prevalent all over Oaxaca. So we're gonna make sure that we do this. Just tear them apart. No perfect world, no perfect size. Just making sure that you get rid of that stamen. Then we're gonna use our purslane. So purslane is a weed. I mean, we step over it every day. It grows in the cracks of the sidewalks. It grows in the woods. So it's utilized quite often in Oaxaca. So we're gonna use that. We have some beautiful chayote squash. This is very crispy. It has kind of like an apple-y flavor. We're gonna one whole chayote in there. Raw corn. We've used the rest of this sweet corn for other recipes, but for this, we're just gonna put raw corn kernels in here. I like the raw because it adds a beautiful crunch. You could use roasted corn, you could use whatever you would like. Then we have these beautiful patty pan squashes that have been cut into quarters and just roasted in the oven with a little bit of oil and a little bit of the Knorr Caldo de Pollo. And now we're going to use our beautiful salsa macha with its oil, with that vinegar, right? It's basically a vinaigrette. Now it's all gonna be based on how much heat you can handle, right? If you want it super spicy, add a ton of this. If you don't want it super spicy, just sort of add some of the chilies and the onion and the garlic, and then use the rest of the oil to help coat the salad. I'm gonna go all in on this. This is a lot of greens. This is a lot of different vegetables. There's a beautiful amount of sweetness too that you're gonna get from the sweet corn. That should be good. We're gonna toss it. Let's toss this, let's see what we've got. You wanna make sure that everything is nice and coated, that you can see all the different colors and the textures. I wanted to make sure that all of these textures were different, the shapes were different, so that visually you get this stunning sort of look as you're looking at everything. In my opinion, you can never have too much. Right, so everything is tossed and coated, and now we're gonna plate it. We're gonna top it with some of these beautiful flowers. Again, we're just gonna put this right on the plate. You're gonna get enough for about 4 or 5 salads out of this recipe, right? So you don't have to overdo the plating. Unless you want extra, feel free. Maybe one more little scoop, make sure we get some of that corn, extra chayote in there. And then feel free to just kind of let these fall naturally. You could also add them into the salad yourself if you wanted, but they tend to be delicate, so I like to put them on the top. And there you go. There's a purslane salad with bone marrow salsa macha and seasonal vegetables.